Welcome to Monk's Temple. Let us begin by doing something remarkably simple. Something you have done over 20,000 times today alone, probably without ever really noticing it. Let us begin with the breath. Just bring your awareness to the natural rhythm of your breathing. There is no need to change it, no need to deepen it or slow it down. Simply let it be whatever it is, and observe it. Feel the coolness of the air as it enters through the nostrils. Feel the gentle expansion in the chest or the abdomen. Feel the warmth of the air as it releases from the body. In and out. Rising and falling. Arriving and departing. This simple act of noticing your breath is actually a radical act. In a world that constantly demands your attention, that pulls you in 1,000 different directions every moment, you are choosing to give your awareness to something utterly simple and utterly present. You are choosing to be here, now, in this moment, with nothing to accomplish and nowhere to go. And yet, even as you sit here, even as you listen to these words, there is likely a part of your mind that is already somewhere else. Thinking about what you need to do later today. Replaying something that happened earlier this morning. Worrying about something someone said yesterday. Planning what you should say tomorrow. The mind is rarely ever fully where the body is. This is the human condition. We are almost never fully present in the moment we are actually living. We are almost always somewhere else, either in the past or in the future. And this constant somewhere else-ness is a source of tremendous suffering. It is a low-grade fever of dissatisfaction that colors almost every moment of our existence. The Buddha noticed this over 2,000 years ago. He observed that human beings have a peculiar habit of mind. They are constantly reaching, constantly grasping, constantly wanting things to be different than they are. And he traced this habit back to a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of reality. We believe things are permanent when they are actually changing in every moment. We believe things can satisfy us permanently when they cannot. We believe there is a solid, unchanging self at the center of our experience, when actually what we call self is just a flowing river of thoughts, feelings, and sensations, constantly in motion, never the same from one moment to the next. This misunderstanding is not merely a philosophical error. It is a practical error that causes real and ongoing pain. It causes us to cling desperately to things that are slipping through our fingers even as we hold them. It causes us to push away things that are inevitable and natural. It keeps us in a constant state of subtle or not so subtle struggle against the way things actually are. And the most fundamental truth about the way things are is this: everything that arises will eventually pass away. Everything that is born will die. Every meeting will end in separation. Every high will be followed by a low. This is not pessimism. It is simply the nature of conditioned existence. Including you. Including me. Including everyone you have ever loved and everyone who has ever loved you. Including every achievement, every possession, every memory, every identity you have ever cultivated. All of it will pass away. Now, notice what happened when I said that. Perhaps there was a tightening somewhere in your body. A slight contraction in the chest. A desire to change the subject, to think about something more pleasant. This resistance is completely natural. We have been conditioned from birth to avoid thinking about death, to push it to the edges of our awareness, to pretend it is far away and irrelevant to our present moment. We build entire lives around this avoidance. We fill our days with distraction and busyness so that we never have to sit quietly with the truth. We accumulate possessions and achievements as if they could somehow protect us from the inevitable. We cling to relationships and identities as if they could save us. But here is the paradox that the Buddha discovered. The more we avoid thinking about death, the more we are actually controlled by it. The more we push it away, the more it shapes our lives from the shadows. The fear of death, unacknowledged and unexamined, drives so much of our behavior. It drives our need to achieve, to accumulate, to build a legacy, to be remembered. It drives our anxiety about our appearance, our health, our status. It drives our desperate clinging to everything and everyone, as if these things could somehow make us safe. The Buddha offers a radically different approach. He says, turn toward what you fear. Look at it directly. Investigate it. Make it an object of meditation. Invite it into your awareness as a guest rather than treating it as an enemy. Because when you look at death directly, something shifts. The fear begins to lose its power over you. It begins to dissolve. And in its place, something else arises. Something the Buddha called the deathless. The deathless is not a promise of eternal life in some heavenly realm after you die. It is something far more immediate and far more practical. The deathless is a quality of awareness that can be touched in this very life, in this very body, in this very moment. It is the part of you that is not born and does not die. It is the awareness in which all experiences arise and pass away, but which itself remains unchanged, untouched, ever present. Think of it like this. Imagine you are sitting in a movie theater. On the screen, a drama unfolds. Characters are born, they fall in love, they face challenges, they die. The story is full of emotion. You laugh, you cry, you feel tension and release. But throughout the entire movie, a part of you never forgets that you are sitting in a theater. A part of you knows that what is happening on the screen is just light and shadow, just projected images. You are engaged, but you are also aware. You are participating, but you are also observing. Most of us live our lives as if we have forgotten we are in a theater. We are so completely absorbed in the movie that we believe it is reality itself. We forget that we are the watcher. We forget that there is a part of us that is not the characters on the screen, not the drama unfolding, not the story at all. Mindfulness of death is the practice of remembering that you are in a theater. It is the practice of remembering that this body, this personality, this story you call my life is just a movie. It is a precious and beautiful movie, to be sure. It deserves your full attention and care. But it is not the whole story. There is something more. There is the awareness in which the movie appears. When you begin to touch this awareness, even for a moment, your relationship to everything changes. The things that used to terrify you lose their power. The things that used to drive you crazy become manageable. You develop a kind of inner stability that is not shaken by the ups and downs of life. You become, as the Buddha said, like a great rock in the wind, unmoved by the storms that rage around it. If this reflection speaks to something deep within you, if you feel the call to live more fully and fearlessly, please take a moment to subscribe to Monk's Temple. Your subscription tells us that these conversations matter, that this work of waking up together is valuable. It helps us continue creating content that supports you on your path. Just click the button below. Thank you. Let us continue our exploration together. Let us continue our exploration together. Settle back into your body. Feel your breath moving naturally. There is nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just this moment, exactly as it is. We are exploring mindfulness of death as a path to genuine freedom. In our first time together, we met Elena, who discovered that turning toward her fear of death liberated her from panic. Today, we go deeper into why this practice works psychologically. Consider how you normally relate to time. Most of us live in the past or project into the future. We replay old conversations, rehearse old hurts. Or we plan, scheme, worry about what is to come. The present moment becomes just a bridge between a past that no longer exists and a future that does not yet exist. We spend our lives on this bridge, never actually arriving anywhere. The Buddha called this heedlessness. Not carelessness in the ordinary sense, but being asleep to the preciousness of this moment. The heedless person assumes there will always be more time. More time to say I love you. More time to apologize. More time to practice. They live as if death is distant, not an ever-present possibility that could arrive with the next breath. And because they live this way, they miss their own lives. They eat without tasting. They love without being fully there. They move through days like sleepwalkers, never fully awake to the miracle of being alive. Mindfulness of death is the alarm clock that wakes us from this slumber. Not a harsh alarm, but a gentle reminder that time is limited, that this breath could be your last, that the people you love will not always be here. When this truth really penetrates, priorities rearrange themselves. Things that seemed important lose their urgency. Things that seemed insignificant reveal their true value. Let me tell you about David. David was a high school teacher estranged from his younger brother Mark for over a decade. A bitter argument after their mother's funeral had created a wall between them. David could not even remember what the fight was about. Something about the estate, something about who had cared for their mother more. The kind of fight that happens in families, full of old wounds. Over the years, David thought about reaching out. He would pick up the phone, then put it down. He told himself there was time. He told himself Mark would come around. Years passed. The silence grew solid. Then David was diagnosed with a serious medical condition. Treatable, but the diagnosis forced him to confront something. He might not have as much time as he thought. David sat with this reality for a few days. Then he did something he had not done in 10 years. He called his brother. The conversation was awkward at first. Years of silence to navigate. But David kept it simple. He said he was sorry. He said he missed his brother. He said he did not want to go to his grave with this wall between them. Mark was quiet for a long moment. Then he said he had been waiting for this call for 10 years. He said he was sorry too. By the end, they were both crying. They made plans to meet. That meeting was not perfect. Pain remained, trust needed rebuilding. But the wall had a door in it now. Light could get through. What David discovered is that awareness of death does not make you morbid. It makes you honest. It strips away excuses, procrastination, and pride that keep you separated from the people you love. It gives you courage to do what you have been putting off, to say what needs saying, to heal what can still be healed. This is the psychological insight at the heart of the Buddha's teaching. Avoiding death means avoiding life. When you push away thoughts of death, you also push away urgency to live fully. You sink into complacency. You settle for a half-life of distraction. But when you invite death into awareness as a companion, something awakens. You become more alive. Colors seem brighter. Food tastes better. Conversations feel more meaningful. You stop taking things for granted. You start paying attention. Think of it like this. Imagine holding a glass of water. Nothing special. Now imagine someone tells you this is the last glass you will ever drink. Suddenly you notice everything. The light on the glass. The coolness against your palm. The taste. A mundane object becomes sacred simply because you know it is the last. This is what mindfulness of death does for your entire life. Transforms ordinary into sacred. Reveals preciousness hidden in plain sight. A young monk once asked his teacher, "How should I practice?" The teacher said, "Act as if your hair is on fire." The monk was confused. "But teacher, my hair is not on fire." The teacher smiled. "Not yet. Not meant to create anxiety. Meant to create focus. When your hair is on fire, you do not worry about what others think. You do not procrastinate. You act with urgency because there is no time to waste. Here is a simple practice. Several times a day, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, if this were my last hour, how would I want to spend it? Would I want to be angry? Worried? Scrolling my phone? Or would I want to be present, kind, awake? Do not answer. Just ask. Let the question work on you. Let it gently reshape priorities from the inside out. This is not living in fear. It is living in clarity. Recognizing time is precious and limited, and choosing to use it wisely. In our next time together, we will explore the noble treasures, the inner wealth no one can take from you, the qualities that serve you in this life and beyond. For now, sit with this reflection. Feel your breath. Know this breath is precious. This moment is precious. You are alive. That is enough. Take a moment to arrive fully. Feel your breath moving through your body. Feel the simple fact of being alive, right here, right now. Let the day outside fade. There is only this moment. We have been exploring how mindfulness of death awakens us to life. We met Elena who faced her panic. We met David who healed a decade-long wound. Today we explore what the Buddha called the noble treasures, the inner wealth that cannot be lost or stolen, the qualities that will serve you in this life and beyond. When you really understand that death could come at any time, a natural question arises. What truly matters? What can I actually take with me? The Buddha's answer is both simple and profound. You take nothing but your mental qualities. Not your money, not your possessions, not your reputation. Only the mind you have cultivated. This shifts everything. If your wealth cannot travel with you, then true wealth must be something else. The Buddha identified 6 noble treasures. Think of them as the only possessions worth accumulating. The first treasure is conviction. Not blind belief, but trust based on evidence. Trust that the mind can be trained. Trust that suffering has a cause and an end. Trust that your actions matter. This conviction becomes an inner compass. When you are lost in the dark forest of confusion, it points you toward light. The second treasure is virtue. This is integrity in action. Speaking truth. not harming. Keeping promises. Virtue creates a foundation of blamelessness. When your actions are clean, your mind is clean. There is no hiding, no justifying, no remorse. You can lie down at night with peace. This is not a moral rule imposed from outside. It is a psychological strategy for inner freedom. Think of virtue as building on solid ground. If you build your house on sand, it collapses. If you build on rock, it stands. Virtue is the rock. No matter what storms come, you have a stable place to stand. The third treasure is shame and compunction. These sound negative but are profoundly healthy. Shame here means having a natural aversion to doing something unskillful. It is the inner voice that says, I know better than this. I am capable of more kindness. Why would I stoop to this behavior? It is self-respect in action. Compunction is the wise fear of consequences. Not neurotic fear, but the healthy caution that stops you from touching a hot stove. You have been burned by anger before. You know where harsh words lead. Compunction remembers and protects you. These two qualities guard the mind like wise sentinels. They stand at the door and say, do not let that in. It will only cause trouble. Without them, the mind is defenseless. The fourth treasure is learning. This means studying how the mind works. Listening to teachings like this. Reading. Reflecting. Questioning. Not to accumulate facts, but to gather insights you can apply to your own life. You take the map others have drawn and use it to navigate your own inner landscape. The fifth treasure is generosity. On the surface, giving seems like losing. You give away time, energy, possessions. But psychologically, generosity is powerful mind training. It directly attacks clinging. Every time you give, you practice letting go. You prove to yourself that happiness does not depend on hoarding. A gardener with seeds faces a choice. Hoard the seeds and have nothing. Plant them generously and lose the seeds but gain a garden. Generosity is like that. You give away something small and gain an expansive inner landscape. Let me tell you about Michael. Michael was a successful businessman who prided himself on his financial acumen. He tracked every dollar. He negotiated aggressively. He had plenty of money but lived in constant anxiety about losing it. Then Michael attended a retreat where generosity was emphasized. He decided to experiment. He started small, buying coffee for strangers. Then he gave a larger donation to a local shelter. Then he started mentoring young entrepreneurs for free. Something shifted. The anxiety about money did not disappear completely, but it loosened its grip. Michael discovered that giving created a feeling of spaciousness in his mind. He was no longer just a fortress protecting its walls. He was part of something larger. This is the treasure of generosity. It opens the hand that has been clenched too tight. And in that opening, you discover you did not need to hold so tightly after all. The sixth treasure is discernment. This is the crown jewel. Discernment is the ability to see things as they truly are. To distinguish in real time between what leads to suffering and what leads to peace. A thought arises. Discernment recognizes it. This thought will cause harm. Let it go. Another thought arises. This thought will bring peace. Cultivate it. Discernment grows through meditation. You sit and watch the mind. You see anger arise, feel its heat, observe its passing. Next time, you recognize it faster. Eventually, you can let it pass without engagement, like a cloud moving across an empty sky. These 6 treasures are your true wealth. They are portable, indestructible. They will receive you in your next moment, whether that is the next breath or the next life. When you cultivate these, you build a home for your mind that is safe, peaceful, and free. In our next time together, we will explore the most radical practice of all. The contemplation I am already dead. How this perspective liberates you from the prison of ego and worry. For now, sit with these treasures. Which one calls to you? Which one could you cultivate today? Even a small step toward any of them is a step toward genuine wealth. Feel your breath. This moment is your workshop. Use it wisely. Settle into your body once more. Feel the breath flowing in and out, effortless and natural. Notice how each breath is complete in itself. It arrives, it departs, and something new arrives. This is the rhythm of life itself. We have been gathering the Buddha's teachings on death as a path to genuine living. We have explored how avoiding death means avoiding life. We have looked at the noble treasures, the inner wealth that cannot be lost. Today we arrive at the most radical practice of all. The contemplation, I am already dead. At first, this can feel shocking, disturbing even. But used skillfully, it becomes a scalpel that cuts through the densest knots of ego, worry, and self-importance. Think about how much of your stress comes from a sense of over-responsibility. You feel essential. Everything will fall apart if you do not manage it. You carry the weight of your family, your work, your social circles on your shoulders. This is exhausting. It is also an illusion. The truth is, the world got along perfectly fine before you arrived. It will get along perfectly fine after you leave. Your family will adapt. Your workplace will replace you. Your friends will find other company. This is not depressing. It is liberating. It removes the burden of being the center of the universe. When you genuinely adopt the perspective, I am already dead, you stop taking things so personally. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The usual reaction is anger. How dare they? From the perspective of already dead, the thought becomes, a car is moving into another lane. The personal story dissolves. What remains is just the bare event with much less emotional charge. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah was a nurse in a busy hospital. She was compassionate and skilled, but she was burning out. She took every patient's suffering onto her own shoulders. She stayed late, skipped breaks, answered calls on her days off. She felt indispensable. If she did not do it, who would? The exhaustion accumulated over years until Sarah hit a wall. She could not get out of bed one morning. Not physically unable, but completely depleted. She lay there staring at the ceiling, and a thought arose. What if I died yesterday? What would happen? She lay there and imagined her own death. She imagined the hospital functioning without her. She imagined her patients being cared for by others. She imagined her colleagues covering her shifts. And she realized, with a strange mixture of humility and relief, that the hospital would manage. The world would continue. This was not a pleasant realization at first. It bruised her ego. But as she sat with it, something shifted. The crushing weight of responsibility began to lift. She was not the sole pillar holding up the world. She was just one person doing her part. When Sarah returned to work, she was different. She still cared deeply for her patients, but she no longer carried them. She did her work and went home. She took her breaks. She said no to extra shifts. She was a better nurse because she was no longer drowning in the illusion of her own indispensability. This is the freedom of I am already dead. It removes the false burden of being essential. This perspective also transforms how you handle conflict. Imagine arguing with someone you love. The ego is invested in being right, in winning, in defending its position. The air thick with blame. Now silently say to yourself, I am already dead. What happens? The desperate need to be right suddenly seems trivial. The point you were fighting for so passionately is just a point. What truly matters in this moment, if this could be your last interaction? Would you rather be right, or would you rather be kind? Maria was a mother of 3. Her days were filled with conflict with her teenage daughter. Arguments about homework, about clothes, about attitude. One night after a particularly explosive fight, Maria sat alone in the dark living room. The thought came unbidden. What if I died tonight? What if this fight was the last memory my daughter had of me? The question shattered her. She no longer saw her daughter's bad behavior. She saw a scared, struggling young person trying to find her way. She saw her own anger not as justified discipline but as a wall she was building between them. The next day, Maria apologized. Not for setting limits, but for the anger and contempt she had brought to the conflict. It was the beginning of a new relationship with her daughter. The thought of her own death did not make her a worse parent. It made her a far better one. There is a story of a woman who received a cruel text from a friend. Her immediate reaction was defensive rage. She spent an hour drafting a scathing reply. But before sending, she sat quietly. The phrase "I am already dead" arose in her mind. She looked at her drafted text from that perspective. Just angry words designed to wound. Did she want her last communication with this friend to be this? Did she want to add more fuel to the fire? She deleted the angry text. Instead, she wrote, "I am sorry you are feeling so upset. I am here when you want to talk." It did not resolve everything immediately. But it kept a door open. It preserved a thread of kindness. The mirror of mortality allowed her to see beyond the drama of her ego and act from a wiser place. The contemplation "I am already dead" is not morbid. It is liberating. It frees you from the exhausting project of managing your image. It releases you from the grip of personal offense. It opens space for genuine connection. Try it this week. When stress rises, pause and whisper to yourself, "I am already dead." Notice what shifts. Notice how the problem looks different. Notice how much lighter you feel. In our next time together, we will explore the art of dying well and how it becomes the art of living well. For now, sit with this reflection. Feel your breath. You are alive in this moment. That is enough. Take a breath and arrive fully. Feel the air enter your body, nourishing every cell. Feel it leave, releasing whatever no longer serves. Each breath is a complete cycle of arrival and departure. Each breath is a small lifetime. We have been exploring how mindfulness of death awakens us to life. We have looked at the noble treasures and the radical practice of I am already dead. Today we explore something that might seem strange. The art of dying well and how it becomes the art of living well. The Buddha taught that the moment of death is not random. It is shaped by the momentum of your entire life. The thoughts you have cultivated, the habits you have developed, the qualities you have strengthened. These do not disappear when the body fails. They become the landscape of your next moment. This is why meditation is so essential. In meditation, you practice dying a little every day. You sit with eyes closed, withdrawing attention from the outside world. Thoughts arise. You let them go. Sensations arise. You let them go. You practice releasing your grip on everything. This is rehearsal for the final release. Think of it like this. Imagine you are learning to play an instrument. You practice scales daily, not because you will perform scales, but because scales build the foundation for everything else. Meditation practice is like that. You practice letting go of small things so that when the great letting go arrives, you are prepared. Let me tell you about Robert. Robert was a firefighter. His job required him to run toward danger when everyone else ran away. He had seen death many times. He had pulled bodies from burning buildings. He had held the hands of dying strangers. He thought he was prepared for anything. Then Robert was diagnosed with terminal cancer. The doctors gave him 6 months. The man who had faced countless emergencies without flinching found himself paralyzed by fear. Not fear of pain, but fear of annihilation. Fear of simply ceasing to exist. A friend suggested meditation. Robert was skeptical. He was a man of action, not a man of sitting still. But he was desperate, so he tried. He sat with his breath. He watched his mind race with terror. He watched his body ache with disease. And gradually, something shifted. Robert began to notice that beneath the terror and the pain, there was awareness. The terror came and went. The pain came and went. But the awareness in which they appeared remained steady. He was not the terror. He was not the pain. He was the one watching them. This discovery changed everything. The fear did not disappear, but it no longer controlled him. He had found something within himself that was not touched by the cancer, not touched by the diagnosis, not touched by death itself. He had touched the deathless. In his final weeks, Robert became peaceful in a way that amazed his family and his hospice workers. He was not pretending. He was not in denial. He had simply discovered a dimension of himself that was not threatened by the end of his body. He died with a clarity and calm that inspired everyone around him. This is what the Buddha meant by the deathless. Not eternal life somewhere else, but a quality of awareness that can be touched here and now. The part of you that witnesses all experience but is not itself any experience. The sky that contains the storms but is not damaged by them. The skill of dying is really the skill of letting go. And you can practice this skill right now. Close your eyes and bring to mind something you are holding onto tightly. A resentment. A fear. A desire. Feel the grip of it in your body. Now breathe into that grip. And on an exhale, practice releasing it just a little. Not forever. Just for this breath. Notice how that feels. Notice the spaciousness that appears when you loosen your hold even slightly. This is the practice. Moment by moment, breath by breath, you learn to let go. And each time you let go, you touch a little bit of the deathless. Each time you release, you prove to yourself that your happiness does not depend on holding on. There is a story about a Zen master on his deathbed. His students gathered around, sad to lose their teacher. One student asked, "Master, what is death like?" The master opened his eyes and smiled. "I do not know. I am not dead yet." The students laughed. The master continued, "But I will tell you what life is like. Life is like this." He took a breath. And this. He released it. That is all. Arriving and departing. And what observes the arriving and departing? That is what I am about to become fully. The students did not fully understand then. But they spent the rest of their lives contemplating his words. You do not need to wait for your deathbed to touch the deathless. It is available now. Every time you let go of a thought, you touch it. Every time you release a grievance, you taste it. Every time you sit in meditation and rest as awareness rather than getting lost in the contents of awareness, you are there. The art of dying well is simply the art of living well. Living with open hands rather than clenched fists. Living with awareness rather than distraction. Living with love rather than fear. Here is a practice you can take with you. Several times today, pause and ask yourself, what am I holding on to right now? Just notice. Then ask, could I let it go for this one breath? Try it. You might discover that letting go is not a loss. It is a relief. In our next time together, we will explore how to bring all of these teachings into your daily life. How to live from the perspective of the deathless, not just on the cushion, but in traffic, at work, with your family. For now, sit with your breath. Arriving and departing. And notice what does not arrive or depart. The awareness itself. That is your true home. Settle into your body once more. Feel the weight of your body against whatever supports you. Feel the natural rhythm of your breath. Notice how with each inhalation you are renewed. With each exhalation you release. This simple rhythm contains the entire teaching. We have covered much ground together. We have explored how mindfulness of death awakens us to life. We have looked at the noble treasures. We have practiced the contemplation I am already dead. We have touched on the art of dying well. Today we bring it all together. How do you actually live from this perspective in the messy, complicated reality of daily life? The danger with spiritual teachings is that they remain in the realm of ideas. You listen, you nod, you feel inspired. Then you walk out the door and someone cuts you off in traffic and the inspiration vanishes. The teaching did not fail. The problem is that it never left the conceptual mind and entered your bones. The Buddha's genius was in giving practices, not just philosophies. Practices that embed wisdom into your nervous system. Practices that make the teaching your own. Let me tell you about James. James was a busy father of 3 young children. He worked long hours, came home exhausted, and had little patience left for his kids. He loved them deeply, but he was often irritable and distracted. He would snap at them for small things, then feel guilty, then withdraw into his phone. James heard a teaching about mindfulness of death and it resonated. He wanted to apply it, but he did not know how. Sitting meditation for an hour was not realistic. So he started small. He created what he called the last time practice. Every time he did something with his children, he would pause and think, this might be the last time. The last time I tie her shoes. The last time I push him on the swing. The last time I read this bedtime story. This practice transformed him. The ordinary moments became sacred. Tying shoes became an act of devotion. Bedtime stories became a ritual of connection. He was no longer just going through the motions. He was fully present because he knew, truly knew, that these moments would not last forever. James did not become a perfect father. He still got irritable sometimes. But the practice created more space. More presence. More love actually felt and expressed. This is the first way to bring these teachings into daily life. Use the phrase "this might be the last time." Apply it to ordinary moments. Notice how it changes your experience. Another practice comes from the Buddhist tradition. It is called the recollection of death and it has 5 simple reflections. You can repeat them to yourself each morning. I am of the nature to age. I cannot escape aging. I am of the nature to sicken. I cannot escape sickness. I am of the nature to die. I cannot escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love will change. I will be separated from them. My actions are my only true possessions. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. These reflections are not meant to depress you. They are meant to orient you. They are like a compass that always points true north. No matter how lost you get in the day's dramas, these 5 truths will bring you back to what matters. Let me tell you about Patricia. Patricia was a therapist who worked with grieving families. She was good at her job but found herself increasingly burned out. She was carrying her clients' pain home with her. She was losing sleep, losing weight, losing hope. Someone suggested she try the 5 recollections each morning. She was skeptical. They seemed too simple, too stark. But she tried. Each morning before getting out of bed, she would recite them silently. At first, they made her more anxious. But gradually, something shifted. The recollections created a kind of container for her work. She was reminded daily that death is real, that loss is inevitable, that she could not save anyone from these truths. This sounds grim, but it was actually liberating. She stopped trying to fix her client's grief and started simply being present with it. She stopped carrying their pain and started holding space for it. Her clients did not get worse. They got better. Because Patricia was no longer bringing her own fear of death into the room. She had made peace with the truth, and that peace was contagious. You can adapt this practice to your own life. Find a version of these reflections that speaks to you. Recite them each morning. Let them be the lens through which you view your day. Here is another simple practice. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to review. Ask yourself, if this had been my last day, would I be satisfied with how I lived it? Is there anything I would have done differently? This is not about judgment. It is about learning. It is about letting each day teach you how to live the next one more fully. The great Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh used to say, thanks to impermanence, everything is possible. If things were permanent, change would be impossible. A seed could never become a flower. A hurt could never heal. A mistake could never be corrected. Impermanence is not bad news. It is the ground of all possibility. And death is not the enemy of life. It is what makes life precious. A diamond is valuable because it is rare. Your life is precious because it is limited. If you had infinite time, nothing would matter. You could always do it later. It is the certainty of death that gives urgency to love, to practice, to presence. Do not waste this urgency. Do not push it away. Let it fuel you. In our final time together, we will explore the ultimate goal. Not just living well, but touching the deathless itself. The dimension within you that was never born and can never die. For now, practice with these reflections. This might be the last time. I am of the nature to die. Let these truths sink into your bones. Let them transform your ordinary moments into something sacred. Feel your breath. This breath is your life. Do not miss it. Take a moment to arrive. Feel your breath moving through your body. Feel the aliveness in your hands, your feet, your chest. You are here. You are breathing. This is enough. We have journeyed far together. We have explored mindfulness of death as a path to life. We have examined the noble treasures. We have practiced the contemplation I am already dead. We have learned to bring these teachings into daily moments. Today we arrive at the ultimate destination. The deathless itself. What is the deathless? It is not a place you go after death. It is a dimension of experience available right now. It is the part of you that witnesses all experience but is not touched by any experience. It is the sky that contains the storms but is never damaged by them. You have touched this already, probably without recognizing it. Have you ever been so absorbed in a beautiful sunset that the sense of a separate you disappeared? There was just the seeing, the colors, the light. No watcher, only the watched. That was a taste of the deathless. Have you ever been so fully present with someone you love that the boundary between you seemed to dissolve? No self, no other. Only connection. That was another taste. Meditation is the systematic way to cultivate these glimpses, to stabilize them, to make them your permanent home. You sit and watch the mind. Thoughts arise. You do not chase them. Feelings arise. You do not react. You rest in awareness itself. Gradually, the grip of the separate self loosens. You see that you are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You are not your body. You are the awareness in which all these things appear and disappear. Let me tell you about Susan. Susan was a successful artist in her 60s. She had spent her life creating beautiful things, but she carried a deep well of insecurity. She needed external validation. She needed praise, recognition, awards. Without them, she felt empty. Susan came to meditation not for spiritual reasons but because she was exhausted. The constant striving for approval was wearing her out. She sat with her breath day after day. She watched her mind chase after thoughts of success and recognition. She watched herself crave applause. One day, sitting quietly, something shifted. The craving was there as usual. But instead of getting caught in it, she simply observed it. And in that observation, she noticed something extraordinary. The craving was just energy moving through awareness. It was not her. Beneath it, behind it, was a vast stillness that had never been disturbed by any craving, any success, any failure. It had always been there. She had just been too busy chasing to notice. Susan later described it as coming home to a place she never knew existed. Her art did not change. Her circumstances did not change. But her relationship to everything changed. The craving for approval lost its power. She still enjoyed recognition when it came, but she no longer needed it. She had found a source of fulfillment that could not be diminished by any external event. This is the deathless. It is your true nature, hidden beneath layers of conditioning and clinging. It is not something you create. It is something you uncover. Like a mirror behind layers of dust. You do not make the mirror. You just wipe away the dust. The practice of mindfulness of death is the most powerful dusting cloth. Why? Because death is the ultimate dismantler of the ego. The ego is the sense of a separate self that must protect itself, promote itself, preserve itself. Death threatens the ego at its core. So the ego runs from death. It builds distractions. It creates busyness. It clings to identities. But when you turn and face death directly, the ego has nowhere to run. It cannot defend against the inevitable. And in that confrontation, something cracks open. The ego's grip loosens. And what is revealed is what was always there. The deathless awareness that was never born and can never die. There is a story about a man who went to a meditation teacher and said, "I want to attain enlightenment. How long will it take?" The teacher said, 10 years. The man said, "That is too long. What if I practice very hard?" The teacher said, "Then 20 years." The man was confused. Why would harder practice take longer? The teacher smiled. Because with your intense striving, you are strengthening the very self that needs to disappear. Relax. Stop grasping. Enlightenment is your nature, not your achievement. This story points to something essential. The deathless is not something you grab. It is something you allow. You create the conditions, and it reveals itself. Like opening a window. You do not create the fresh air. You just let it in. So create the conditions. Sit each day. Watch your mind. Let go of clinging. Reflect on death. Not with fear, but with openness. Let these practices prepare the ground. Then let go of striving too. Rest in awareness. Trust that what you seek is already here. In our next and final time together, we will bring this entire journey to a close. We will weave together all the threads and send you forth to live your precious life from this new perspective. For now, sit with this. You are not your thoughts. You are not your fears. You are not your body. You are the awareness in which all of these appear. That awareness has no birth and no death. It is your true home. Feel your breath. Rest in awareness. You have already arrived. Welcome back. Settle into your body one final time. Feel the breath moving through you. Feel the life pulsing in your fingertips, your toes, your heart. You are here. You are alive. This moment is a gift. We have traveled far together. We have explored mindfulness of death from every angle. We have looked at the noble treasures. We have practiced the contemplation I am already dead. We have touched the deathless. Now we arrive at the end of our journey. Not an ending, but a beginning. The beginning of your life lived from this new perspective. The Buddha often compared the spiritual path to crossing a river. You are on one shore, the shore of suffering, confusion, and fear. The other shore is freedom, peace, and clarity. You build a raft from the teachings, from meditation, from the practices we have explored. You use the raft to cross the river. And when you reach the other shore, you do not carry the raft on your head. You leave it behind. The teachings have served their purpose. Now you must live. You have been building your raft throughout our time together. Each contemplation, each story, each reflection has added another log. Now it is time to use it. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Let me tell you about Thomas. Thomas was a man who spent his entire life preparing for the future. He saved money, planned carefully, avoided risks. He was going to enjoy life someday, when he had enough saved, when he retired, when the time was right. He lived in a perpetual state of waiting. Thomas heard a teaching on mindfulness of death and it stopped him cold. He realized that someday might never come. The future he was saving for might not arrive. He had been trading real moments for imaginary ones his whole life. The next day, Thomas did something he had not done in years. He called his daughter and asked if he could visit. She lived across the country. He had always meant to go, but there was always a reason to wait. Money. Time. Work. He booked a flight. The visit was not perfect. His daughter had her own busy life. They had some awkward moments. But they also had moments of real connection. They took a walk together. They cooked a meal. They laughed about old times. On the flight home, Thomas realized something. These imperfect moments were the only kind there are. The perfect future he had been saving for did not exist. Life was here all along, in the messy, ordinary, precious present. Thomas did not quit his job or stop saving money. But he stopped waiting. He started living. He took small trips. He called friends. He told people he loved them. He showed up for his life. This is what mindfulness of death offers. Not an escape from life, but a return to it. Not a morbid obsession, but a clear-eyed embrace of the time you have. Here is a practice to take with you. Each morning, before you check your phone or start your day, pause. Take 3 breaths. Then ask yourself one question. If this were the last day of my life, how would I want to live it? Do not try to answer with a plan. Just let the question sit in your awareness. Let it color everything that follows. Throughout the day, when you feel stress rising, when you feel caught in drama, when you feel lost in worry, pause again. Whisper to yourself, I am already dead. Notice what shifts. Notice how the problem looks different from that perspective. Notice how much lighter you feel. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to review. Ask yourself, if this had been my last day, would I be satisfied? Is there anything I would have done differently? Let each day teach you. Let each day refine your priorities. And most importantly, sit each day in meditation. Even 10 minutes. Even 5. Just sit and watch your breath. Watch your mind. Practice letting go. This is the foundation. This is what makes all the other practices possible. Without this daily training, the reflections remain just thoughts. With it, they become wisdom in your bones. The Buddha said that heedfulness is the path to the deathless. Heedlessness is the path to death. The heedful never die. The heedless are as if already dead. What does it mean to be heedful? It means remembering what matters. It means not forgetting, even for a day, that your time is limited and precious. It means showing up for your life, not as a rehearsal, but as the main event. You are going to die. This is not morbid. It is simply true. The question is not whether you will die. The question is whether you will have lived before you do. Will you have loved fully? Will you have spoken your truth? Will you have let go of grudges? Will you have cultivated kindness? Will you have touched the deathless within? These are not questions for someday. They are questions for now. For this breath. For this moment. You have everything you need. The teachings are here. The practices are here. The awareness is here. It has always been here, waiting for you to notice. Do not wait any longer. Do not put it off. The time is now. This breath is your opportunity. This moment is your life. Thank you for spending this time at Monk's Temple. Thank you for your attention, your openness, your willingness to explore these deep waters together. May your practice of mindfulness of death lead you to a life fully lived. May you touch the deathless and know peace. May you be happy. May you be free. May you be safe. May you live with ease. Go well, dear friend. The path is yours now. Walk it with joy.